Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. If you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's dive straight in to today's first story. And today's first story comes from SmallBean197. And before we do go any further, if you're eating right now, you may want to watch this one later. It involves someone tampering with their partner's food, including like psychological and emotional abuse, so it will turn your stomach. So here comes the title. I found out my partner has been putting slugs in my food and I don't know how to forgive him. And it does come with updates. I, 22 female, have been with my partner 24 male for 4 years now. I've never known him to do anything like this, but I noticed he started acting a little strange around a month, maybe a month and a half ago. He started putting fruit on the floor in the garden, and I thought it was a bit weird, but he said he was feeding them the mice family that have nested in our shed, so I thought it was sweet and helped him do so. Anyways, he started being really nice to me around 2 weeks ago and making me food, baking me cakes and stuff, which he never usually cooks ever, so I was so happy he found a hobby. I did notice sometimes I felt sick and dizzy after eating. I just put it down to lack of sleep and hormones. Anyway, a friend of my partner's came into my work, I work in a cafe, and said he needed to speak to me when I was free. I was free as there wasn't any customers at this time. He told me that my partner has been collecting slugs from the garden on fruit he's been putting out there and putting them in my food, blending them up. He even sent this friend pictures of a bag of slugs he had collected and a picture of blended slugs. I feel really sick to my stomach. I don't understand why he would do this. This is so out of character. I asked him why he was doing it and he accused me of snooping through his messages, which I would never do, and got so angry at me for not being able to take a joke. I feel disgusted. I love him to pieces, but I just don't understand his way of thinking just now. Am I overreacting? I don't know what to do. I feel lost. Now, as I said, we have updates on this as well and added information. And we've covered in the past a lot of stories where people are doing, it's just a prank bro kind of stuff. But this feels, and it's usually way beyond a prank and it's bullying behavior, but this feels so beyond that, doesn't it? And just trying to think why someone would do this, why they think, even if it was somehow they thought it was a joke, to even think, how can someone think that's a joke? To gather up slugs, blend them, and put them in food. And they obviously think somehow this is kind of normal. I'm just trying to get their logic here. To send a message to their friend and say, look what I'm doing, lol. What a prank, right? But clearly the friend sees the issue with it and has went straight to OP and told them about it. So I do wonder where this is going to go. I mean, you ask at the very end there if you're overreacting. I think you're underreacting in this case. If I ever found someone tampered with my food, there'd be especially with something like this. I mean, I've had someone put Tabasco in my orange juice at breakfast before, but no, not someone blend slugs in it. Gee whiz. That's relationship ending stuff to me. But anyway, I'm curious to see what the update's going to say, so we're going to move straight on to the update. I went to urgent care last night in the early hours of the morning and waited and was finally seen around 6 a.m-ish. I had some tests and I have a high level of metaldehyde in my blood. I was kept in for monitoring and I have some ulcers in my stomach. I was aware of this anyway as I was hospitalized about 2 months ago for a burst ulcer. I originally thought it was stress, but they now said it could be because of poisoning. I could have an infection of some kind as my temperature is high, but they haven't found anything that could be causing that yet. They have checked my heart and it is fine. I'm due to have heart surgery this year, though they are delaying it due to the ulcers and infections and the fact that I keep getting sick, which is okay. I have an appointment to see my cardiologist on the 20th of April. I contacted the police and wrote a statement and was asked some questions. Anyone who knows me in real life, please don't post mine or my partner's name, as the police said it would destroy the investigation. Not the exact words they used, but I'm unsure as I was in a daze. My ex refused to say anything to the police or to me. However, he did say he would speak to his friend and only him. He then spoke to me. I was not alone, I was with a friend and his friend too. He confessed to doing random experiments on me and tests starting a few months after we moved in together. It started with spitting on my toast, and then the week later he replaced my propranolol beta blockers with salt, emptied capsules. I want to add he was my medication holder, as I have a history of suicide attempts, so he handled my meds and gave them to me, and that's when he thought it would be funny. He also admitted to these things, swapping my Linda McCartney vegetarian sausages with real meat. I have IBS and struggle to digest meat, so became a vegetarian. He also replaced my corn nuggets with his real ones. One of my pet giant African land snails went missing in summer, and I assumed it escaped and left the lid open on their box. But he said it had died and he scraped it out and put it in my curry. I vaguely remember the day he did this, as he laughed whenever I went to eat the curry, and I got really paranoid, so I put it in the kitchen and stormed off. He then brought it upstairs and told me to taste it, and I did, and I realised he added loads of chili, and he said he was laughing because he put chili powder in, and too much came out. Now I think he must have put the chili in to cover the fact he put my snail in there. He also said he rubbed my toothbrush on the toilet, and then washed it as he thought that was too far. I feel like this is all a dream. It just seems too dramatic to feel real. I'm unsure what is happening on the legal front. He says he didn't know why he did this and that he does love me truly and that he felt compelled to do it, which I understand as I suffer from OCD and get compulsions and impulsions, and that he really loves taking care of me and he feels it's his purpose and he didn't mean to cause serious harm. He promises he never did any of this to our animals. I think he could just be stressed, as I have mental health issues that could have caused something in him to break from too much stress. I am really sad and sorry for those who I caused concern. Just a warning, picture of slugs coming up. OP posted an image of what they found, and it was said, "Just found a jar with 4 slugs in under the sink. My partner must have forgot about it. I think they are dead, so can be old ones I feel. Physically sick." And in the comments below that image, someone said, "He promised he never did this to any of your animals, but your dog recently had lungworm, and he admitted to making you eat your pet snail. He replaced your heart medication with salt and tampered with your food, knowing you have IBS. There is nothing funny about that. He has endangered your health and those of your pets. Stress doesn't make anyone do this. He is not safe for you or your pets. These are not actions of someone who loves taking care of you. They are cruelty. Please stop blaming yourself. I understand your struggles with both mental and physical health and the need for someone to love and care for you. But if you value your life and those of the animals you adopted, he can never be trusted again." And there was just a couple of other additional comments in there, saying that you need to get to the doctor ASAP, which we can already see they've gone to the hospital, etc. Some people saying that they might be a certain type of slug that carries parasites and can be particularly dangerous. And then just many comments of support for OP. But in those comments as well, there's a comment from OP which says, "Hi, he was diagnosed with ASPD yesterday," which I believe is antisocial personality disorder, and admitted everything to me and how I was his way of looking normal to the outside world. He manipulated me by giving me everything I wanted as a BPD sufferer: love, affection, and compliments. He began testing me emotionally at first, with cheating to see how I would react, but I forgave him, and then began with food and stuff to see how long until I got sick. I'm still baffled. The person I knew, I never really knew at all. He's a psychopath and he gives ASPD sufferers a bad name. He knew I was vulnerable due to my mental and physical illnesses. He became my carer but was torturing me at the same time, and I was unaware of any of this. He rescued me from an abusive situation and then put me into a new one. That is how he works. And then OP posts a section where they're struggling to eat for fear of food and no appetite, and then says, "I recently left a weird relationship where my partner was contaminating my food, etc. Anyways, ever since I've struggled to eat. I moved into a ground floor flat and sometimes I will find slugs around the house. I'm terrified of them. I keep throwing food away because I don't know what the slugs have gone on. I am scared of getting sick. I can't cope or breathe right now. I've tried everything to stop slugs getting in. Copper tape, salt, non-toxic pellets, but they still somehow find their way into my flat. I feel like nature's tormenting me. Any advice please? I have tried speaking to my doctor, but they won't really listen, and the doctor I see said it was a good thing as I was overweight anyways. What the hell? I was just discharged from the mental health team I was currently on. And then a final update which says, I am alive. Hello everyone, sorry for those who I didn't get to message back. My messages have been so full. I am alive but have been sick with coronavirus. Thank you to those who have reached out to me. You all made me feel less alone. Hope everyone is well. Now all the way through this story I was just sat there like, what the hell? What is this? And I think, food manipulation is, we've seen it before, but the way they've gone about it, slugs, and the way that was almost played down in some ways, by the partner, like it was totally normal. But emptying out capsules, putting salt in there, putting slugs in food, which there is variety of slugs out there which can carry parasites and can make people ill, etc. And there was a lot of people referencing a young man who was in Australia who ate a slug and became paralyzed and eventually died. And it left me thinking after that, how is the man not being arrested for this? If it could have put OP in a bad way and they was doing it intentionally and even admitted to doing it. Yeah. Anyway, what do you guys make of this one? I dare to think what you guys are going to make of this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next story. This story comes with multiple updates, and it says my fiance wants to end our relationship because I didn't choose him first. I'm sorry if this whole thing sounds a little rushed, but my fiance Ryan, who I've been with for 7 years, told me today that he's not sure whether he wants to be with me anymore. And I realize it may sound stupid, but I love him so much. It feels like my world is falling apart around me, and I don't know what I can do. This all started a couple of days ago when we were celebrating our anniversary. We invited a bunch of people, including one of my closest friends, Ellie. She noticed my fiance being affectionate towards me and made some stupid comment about how she told me so, that Ryan would be better for me than my ex, Andy. My fiance was a little confused and asked Ellie what she meant. Back when I was in college, Andy and Ryan both asked me out to the same event. I'd known Ryan since high school and we'd always had a thing, but we weren't a couple. On top of that, he went to another college that was half-hour drive away from me. Andy went to my college. His dorm was a 5-minute walk away, and he was someone completely new. I began to feel like my relationship with Ryan wouldn't be exciting enough because we already knew almost everything about each other. With the added headache of being half-hour away from each other, despite Ellie's protest, I decided to go with Andy. I know my reasoning is beyond stupid, but I never thought that this decision had the potential to blow up my future. Ryan was already hurt that I declined his request to go on a date. I didn't want to make him feel worse by telling him that I was going with someone else. Not that it mattered because he stopped talking to me for about 6 months. During this time it became obvious that me and Andy weren't right for each other, so we ended it. When me and Ryan began talking again, I realized how much I missed him and that he was perfect for me, so I asked him out. He was overjoyed, and that's how we got to this point. For the rest of the party, I could tell that his mood was off. He kept pulling away from kisses and touches and responded to me with short one-sentence answers. After the party, when I asked him what was wrong, he said that he just felt sick. For the next 2 days, he continued to be cold and distant. I had no idea what was happening, so I waited patiently for him to become comfortable enough to tell me. Today, he told me that the reason he'd been acting off. From the story, it sounded like I'd kept him as my backup or plan B in case my relationship with Andy failed, and that it was especially messed up since we'd obviously had feelings for each other long before then. He also said that he deserved to be someone's first choice. I thought that this was just an insecurity that we would get through, but then he went on to say that he's not sure whether he can see our relationship in the same light anymore, so it might be best if we split up. I pleaded with him that we don't need to take it that far and that we should go to counselling or even just live separately for a few days while he thinks about whether this is what he actually wants. So far, he hasn't said anything except that he absolutely refuses to go to therapy. I can tell this is weighing on him heavily because he's been drinking more than usual, but I don't know what to say to make him feel better. We've had a beautiful relationship. He's never been overly jealous or possessive, and although neither of us are perfect, I couldn't ask for a more loving, respectful, intelligent, and charming soon-to-be husband. I don't understand how all of that could come to an end for a foolish mistake that I made 7 years ago. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for by posting on here, but if anyone has any advice, please let me know. Edit. I think I may have messed up on my wording. He doesn't care that I dated someone else before him. It bothers him that I had the choice between him or Andy, and I chose Andy. And as I said, we have an update to this one as well. And I will start off straight away by saying, you've been together for 7 years. And this is little to do with you, in my opinion, and more to do with his own insecurities. But we're going to move on to the updates. So a few people have asked for an update. It's been a little over 2 weeks now, so I'm not sure if anyone is even interested anymore. I think for now I'm just confused about what's happening. If anyone has any advice or some idea of what he's thinking, please tell me. After what happened in the last post, he said that we should put off the wedding while we decide how to proceed. That means something, right? He used the exact words put off instead of cancel, and while we decide how to proceed. I think that means he hasn't decided that we should break up yet. Maybe he'll just decide not to marry but to continue our relationship. I don't think he's ready to give up our relationship yet, but he's moved into a hotel. I know some people have told me to give him space, but I've decided that even if a part of him is willing to stay with me, I'm going to do everything I can to give me another chance. I've been dropping off food, leaving notes under his door, and we've been calling every day, sometimes twice a day. Right now we're both stuck in limbo. Most of the time we talk about how much we miss each other, the plans we had, and me convincing him that he's my soulmate and that regardless of what happened with Andy, I know we would have ended up together. Then there are other moments where he calls in the middle of the night, having obviously been crying and asking questions like, what did he have that I didn't? Did you love him? Was he better in bed? Was he better looking than me? Do you still think he's better looking than me? What does more exciting mean? Do you wish he gave you another chance? He says that he wants to be with me desperately, but when he thinks about me, it's seared into his mind that I was always his first choice, but he will always have been my second. It hurts him that we had feelings for each other all the way through high school, but the moment I met Andy, none of that meant anything anymore, which must have meant I thought Andy was worth my time, and he wasn't. It breaks my heart to hear him holding back his tears and trying to cry silently, but I swear I'll do anything to save our relationship, and part of that means not hiding anything from him. I've begged him to reconsider going to therapy, but he absolutely will not budge. Some of our mutual friends are saying that they're not sure if he'll recover from this, but I don't care. He hasn't told me to stop trying, so I'm not going to. I wish to God that I could go back and change the past because I love him more than anything, including myself. It feels like I'm in some sort of surreal nightmare. Less than a month ago we were laying in bed fighting over which of us got to name our kids, and now a seemingly insignificant mistake that I made 7 years ago might wipe away the beautiful future I want with Ryan. All I can do now is be there and hope that he can give me another chance, but I don't know what he's thinking. I know this isn't a common relationship problem, but if anyone has anything they can give me, whether it's advice or even reassurance that things are going to work out, please tell me. Edit. He called an hour ago. Some of his friends found this Reddit post and showed it to him, so he called angry, asking why I would tell strangers about our personal problems, and how is he supposed to face his friends and family after they all know the reason I'm with him is because Andy broke up with me. After reading the comments, he realized that it wasn't right for him to keep me in the dark for so long without making a decision. He decided that we should go our separate ways, so I can decide whether it is really him that I want to be with and that he wasn't just the convenient choice. For now, I can't describe how I'm feeling. It's like I'm so tired I just want to go to sleep forever. I know some of you have the impression that he's a horrible man, but this was just a small fragment of our relationship and doesn't reflect who he is as an individual in the slightest. He's the guy who spent days learning about my major on top of his own studies so that he could help me study for exams and proofread my coursework. He spent thousands of his own hard-earned money to give my parents their dream vacation to Australia and insisted that I say I paid for it because they feel bad taking money from him. When my ex threatened to leak nudes that I sent him when we were together, I was terrified that he would leave. He took me out to my favorite restaurant and said there was nothing anyone else could do or say that would ever affect how much he loves me, and then he asked me to marry him, so I'd never have to worry about him leaving ever again. My fiancé is the best man that I've never known, and the assumptions that everyone has made from hearing about such a small part of our lives is disgusting, and I didn't come here for people to convince me that he's immature, insecure, or any of that. I should have known better than to post here, but all I can hope for now is that he sees this. To my fiancé, I don't know what I can say to make this better, and I don't know if you'll be able to heal from this. What I can say is that you were wrong in thinking that I chose you out of convenience. I chose you because you're the most thoughtful, handsome, intelligent, and charming man that I've ever known. Every single moment that we've had together for the last 7 years, every kiss that we've shared, every bagel that we've split, and every I love you that I've said was meant for you and was an affirmation that you are and always will be my first choice. I don't believe that you want to cut our lives together short. I think that you were trying to heal from the consequences of a mistake that I made, and then I inadvertently set a fire underneath you by forcing you to come to a decision by making this post. Take as long as you need to do whatever it is that you need to do to heal from this, and I'll be here waiting for you when you are ready to talk. If you decide that is something that we cannot overcome, I would accept your decision, but I know we are stronger than this. I love you so much. Edit 2. I know this is starting to get really long, but he read my open letter and got in contact with me to say that he's not promising anything except that he'll listen. He still refused to see a therapist because he doesn't view our relationship as strong enough that there's anything to salvage right now. However, some people here have expressed that they wish they could give him advice directly, and I convinced him to talk to others who have experienced this and healed from it. If you've experienced something similar, please ask for his throwaway, either in your response to this post or PMing me. Thank you. And then we have a final update. Before I get into this update, I want to say that I asked my ex-fiancé before posting this, and he said it's fine as long as I don't give away any details that could reveal us to more of our friends and family. I've always been the type of person who values other people's input when it comes to making big decisions, and he knows that. A lot has happened since the last update. After we spoke, he went completely quiet for around 2 weeks for time to think. The waiting was almost unbearable, but he promised that as soon as he had an answer for me, he would contact me. I wasn't allowed to come to his hotel to drop off food, to try and see him, or any sort of contact. When he finally called, the first thing that he established was that our relationship was over. However, despite our relationship ending, he still wants to be with me. If I still want to be with him, we can restart our relationship completely from the beginning with the board wiped clean. In his own words, while you look back at our relationship and see something wonderful, I look back at it in disgust because you lied by omission every single day. Initially, I was ready to agree on the spot, but he insisted that I take a week to decide whether I really want this. His logic is that if I chose to restart our relationship from the beginning now, he will be my first choice. Later on in the week, it began to settle what this would mean. I would go from fiancé back to girlfriend. I don't know when he is going to propose again. I don't want children until we're married, so I don't know how long that's going to be. In short, it would completely throw off the life plans we had. I asked for a little more time, and he doesn't want me to resent him in the future, so agreed to give me as much time as I needed to come to a decision. This is a better outcome than I expected, and maybe better than I deserve, but I would be lying if I said that I don't wish things could go back to normal. I've decided that I'm going to agree to starting over. It just really hurts that the past 7 years don't mean anything anymore. Not long ago, we celebrated our 7th anniversary, but this time next year, we'll be celebrating our 1st anniversary again. Holy moly, and one more edit. He read the post and wanted to address some of the comments. 1, if we do restart our relationship, he won't hold anything over my head. It'd be exactly as he said, and our relationship would start over completely. He's so confident of this that he insists I leave him if he ever slips up, and brings it up when we argue. 2, some people have said that being first is just an arbitrary construct, but that doesn't mean anything. Marriage is a construct, monogamy is a construct, etc. Something being a construct doesn't make it any less real or capable of inflicting pain. 3, a reminder that this isn't about me dating people before him. He doesn't care about that. He cares that I knew him for years, that we had a bond in high school, and that we waited until we were in college so we could officially be a couple, but I picked someone else I barely knew. 4. It's come up very often that the length of our relationships should have some influence over his decisions. He says it does because it makes it even worse. I never told him about what happened during those 6 months while we were together. On top of that, I wasn't the one to tell him in the end. We know everything about each other, so he can only assume that I consciously hid it from him. I'm not insecure, fragile, or irrational. The fact is that our old relationship is now ruined in my eyes. It's ruined because she took away my ability to make an informed decision 7 years ago. If I had known the circumstances of her return, I'm not afraid to say that I would have told her to go fuck herself. Now, I'm giving her the option to restart our relationship with me knowing all the facts. This time, we'll be equals. Now, I was left after this one feeling pretty ill in all honesty, that one of the comments that she made that she loves him more than herself, and, it's obvious from this post, and it's a shame to see. To me in this, the dude is acting like she's cheated on him when she hasn't, and she needs to be the one who's sorry for dating someone else in the past, or his reasoning that you chose Andy over him. And the dramatics this one guy has brought up in this one post, and somehow wants to reset this relationship. And if you think that relationship is going to go totally back to normal as equals, air quotes as this guy's putting it, hell no, that's not going to happen. I can see that from the outside. Hopefully you can too. This guy isn't just going to turn around and go, okay, everything's back to normal now. Let's move on from this. The way this guy is acted in this one post, going to a hotel after 7 years of being in a loving relationship, you two being happy, and he's running off to a hotel because he couldn't take that you dated someone 7 years ago, even though it was Andy or whatever. There's no way this guy is going to move on from this without therapy of some sort, and he refuses to have therapy. He refuses to help himself in this situation. To me, it's all about his own insecurities. And as we say in many of the relationship posts, OP deserves better, and I truly hope that they find that in their lives. But what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, a huge thank you as always for spending 20 to 30 minutes with me today, getting involved in the stories, the channel, Twitter. Everything you do is absolutely amazing. I can never thank you enough, and I will see you hopefully in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.